What is going fuck. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. A little bit of a different video today. I wanted to talk about something like psychology, but more importantly, how to unfuck yourself. As the title of this video says, how to unfuck yourself. And what I mean by that is specifically for traders. And again, if you're not a trader and you're watching my video, I don't give a shit. These lessons will probably still apply to you. Wherever you are at, in life, it's gonna apply. And I know it's coming from a young dude, like I'm only 22. But the fact that this has changed my life in the past 4 months should mean something to you guys, right? And it's not just like a physical change or anything. It's like who I am as a person and how I've unfucked my way of thinking, and my habits and who I am as a person and what I've gotten from there. So we're going to start off with this video on how to unfuck yourself. So number one thing is to know your problems. A lot of you guys will sit there and complain about your life. You could either be overweight, you don't have a lot of friends, your girlfriend dumped you, whatever it is, right? You have to know your problems. Because you can't just sit there, like for example, at a doctor's office. What's up, dude? You can't sit there at a doctor's office and say, "Doctor, I'm hurting." And then the doctor's like, "Well, where's the hurt?" And you sit there and go, "I don't know." How is he supposed to help you? How are you supposed to help yourself when you don't even know your problems? And this relates with the second step, which is after you know your issues and problems, identify why you have those issues. So to supplement step number one and number two, what you'd ideally want to do is, and this is what I did 5 months ago, you sit down in a room, quiet, no phone, nothing, not a person, not a soul in that room. So it's just you alone completely. And I want you guys to realize that this will help your progress as human beings, as people, as a brother, maybe a sister, dad, like cousin, whatever you are to somebody. It'll help you. I want you to sit down in your room and think about your life, like really deeply think about your life. Everything that's ever happened to you, good, bad, and really fucked up. And I want you to think about your issues. How would somebody who never met you, how would they feel meeting you, right? After like having a conversation with you, how would they describe you, right? And even then, you could also sit down and, like I said, identify your problems. Are you an asshole? Are you lazy? Are you undisciplined? Are you lustful? Do you have bad habits that hold you back? Do you have an issue like I used to, where I had issues with negative self-talk? You have to identify all of these issues and their whys. So for me, the biggest reason as to why I was so greedy, I was so eager to trade even after losing, and I didn't walk away from my computer, and how I treated relationships and people, well, it's because I seeked validation for a long period of my life. I thought for the longest time, and I told myself this, that if I'm not either rich, not good looking, or I'm not valuable to anybody, then I don't mean shit to anyone. And I've picked that up, and this comes, step number two is identify why you have those issues was because of how I grew up as a kid. This isn't going to be a trauma dump video, but, when I was a kid, I understood from a young age, and this was like my thought process was, the only way for people to love me and for me to love myself and to value in me is I have to win at something. I have to be the best at something so that people can look at me and give me that validation. Same thing with my parents. I can't be the son that they're proud of if I'm not the best sibling, if I'm not the smartest sibling, if I don't have the coolest car in my family, which I do. The most successful. In relationships, it was the same thing. For me, it was like, I should keep tolerating disrespect so I can earn that love, so I can earn that validation. because I need people to look at me and to tell me that I'm worth something. And I needed the charts to show me a green P&L in order for me to feel like I was worth something. That was my biggest issue, was I tied my results with everything in my life to my value as a person. And that fucked me for a long time. Fucked my trading. It fucked with my relationship with previous partners. It fucked with my parents. It fucked with everybody. And even my relationship with myself. Sorry. And the thing with that is negative self-talk, especially if you're watching this video, you probably deal with that issue. Is the thing with negative self-talk is you physically manifest everything and anything bad happening to you in your life by telling yourself that. And what do I mean by that? For an example, if you're driving your car and you're on the interstate, right? And you look to your left, right behind you to check your blind spot, your arm's going to move to the left. You're going to veer off to the road a little bit. Unless you're like chilling, you're driving there, you're keeping it straight. Where the head goes, the body naturally goes, right? It's the same thing with your mind. And to go deeper with that, it's what I mean is when you tell yourself every single day after trading, especially if you blew an account or if you lost a trade, that you suck, you can't do this, you won't be able to do this, and you're already in a losing streak or whatever, you're gonna fuck yourself. Because every single day you go into the market, you have this premonition, this notion already in your head that you're gonna suck. Of course you're gonna suck now. The way you talk to yourself is so important because that'll dictate how you handle adversity, how you fix issues, how you interact with other people, and especially how you talk to yourself and how you treat yourself. Because that is the most important thing you could ever do as a person, which is to talk to yourself in a way that is forgiving. It gives you, you're giving yourself space for errors, problems, and like things you fucked up on in the past. You're giving yourself space for that. You have to. You can't dwell on the past of any mistake you've made in your life, especially with trading as well. And I'm going to relate this to life and trading, where negative self-talk has affected me personally. Ever since I started trading, I had a really, really, really lucky streak of payouts when I first started trading. I was 4 months into trading, and I hit my first 5-figure month, and then I replicated it again. The next month, another 5-figure month. And at that point, the way I talked to myself wasn't positive at all. It was actually negative, even when I was making the money. I sat there and I told myself, this isn't enough. It won't be enough to impress anybody. It won't be enough to have somebody see value in me. It won't be enough for my parents to sit there and say they're proud of me. That's what I told myself. So what did I do on the third month where I expected another 5-figure month? I scaled up. I overtraded, I over-risked, I over-leveraged, I did everything. And I did this for months. I went from being profitable for 2 months to unprofitability for the next 4 months. And why that happened was because the way I talked to myself every day. I'd sit there and I'd tell myself, I need to prove people wrong. I need to prove myself. I need to find value within myself. And the way I only got that was by making money, by having my partner love me, by having my parents be proud so I can actually feel like I'm worth something. And that's such a wrong way of thinking about your value, especially as a human being. No matter who you are in life, every person is valuable to somebody, especially. Someone out there may be a loser to somebody, but then they're a brother to someone, they're a cousin, they're a sister, they're a father. You matter to somebody. And now imagine if that person were to listen to you talk to yourself so negatively. How would that make you feel? seeing the look on their face. Matter of fact, how would you feel if you heard somebody talk badly about themselves like that? Somebody you loved. You wouldn't appreciate that, wouldn't you? You wouldn't like that. So why do you do it to yourself? Well, that's because you don't love yourself. You don't have a reason to. But here's the thing though. Now that you know your problems, now that you can identify whether or not you're talking negatively about yourself, now the third step to unfucking yourself is to change your environment and the way you speak to yourself. And I know I've already touched base on how you speak to yourself, but changing your environment is very, very, very important in to unfucking yourself. And by environment, I don't just mean your physical place. I mean your environment, your life, what's around it, right? So if you're constantly going to the club, you're constantly doing hard drugs, you're constantly doing all this shit, obviously you're gonna feel like shit, you're gonna trade like shit, and you're probably gonna think you're a piece of shit. You have to change your environment in order for you to progress. So for me, what that looked like for me was, well, at that point in my life, I lost my very toxic relationship that I held on for such a long time. That environment change, one, I wasn't around such a relationship that made me question myself every day. Two, I changed my circle of friends. I stopped hanging out with the people who weren't good for me. I stopped hanging out with the people who did nothing else besides just drink and do nothing with their time. I stopped doing that. I changed my environment. I'm only really friends with the people who are like-minded, so people who want to be successful in life, people who find interest in staying disciplined on things, and people with similar interests as me. Like-minded people. Very different environment than what I used to be around. And that's very important because you become who you're around. If you're in a group of 3 idiots, 3 losers, what do you think that makes you? You're going to be the 4th. Over time, you're going to pick up their habits. Over time, the way they talk to you, the way they talk to themselves, and the way they treat their life will rub off on you. So if you are around people who hate themselves, you're going to be able to tell because of the way they talk to other people. And now that you're around people who hate themselves, you're going to hate yourself too. I know it's weird and you're probably sitting there saying, oh, well, that's not true. Well, yes, it is. On a subconscious level, it is. You may not think it, but it's in the back of your mind now to be negative. Self-talk, so important. And with the example I used earlier of like the driving on the highway, that's the same thing with your life, bro. How do you expect to improve when all you do is shit on yourself? You have to give yourself some leeway, man. Seriously. Because you can't sit there for days, weeks, and months enjoying your own shit. You basically shit in your hand and you rub it all over your face. That's what you do when you shit talk yourself. Because the only person in your life that should have your back 24/7 is, besides your mom and God or your parents, yourself. You should have your back no matter what. You should be your biggest supporter no matter what. You should believe in yourself more than anyone can believe in you. So that's why self-talk is so important, because it dictates your future. You manifest a lot of things when you tell yourself you're something. And that could work in the positive inverse, right? So if you tell yourself, Mark, or like, let's say for me, Mark, you mean something. I'm worth something. I'm a good trader. I am disciplined as a person. I've talked to myself like that for months, and look at what has happened. I'm down 30 pounds. I'm not heavily drinking anymore. I don't hang around the wrong crowd of people. I'm consistent at trading now, or at least I'm still trying to work up to the fact that I want to be back to, 5-figure months, but we're taking it slower this time because now I'm disciplined too. And this all happened in the span of a couple months. I'm not chasing females anymore. I'm actually focused on important things in life, like spending time with my family. building great connections with real good friends, taking care of my future, focusing on things that actually matter. For example, instead of worrying about, well, how many bitches am I going to get on Tinder or Hinge, I'm thinking, what can I do this week to improve myself and to improve my trajectory of life? So I could either go on a run, I could either go on I don't even know, a nature walk, anything that'll help me progress into the next step of my life. The way I talked to myself affected me so much that it carried on for years. And I want you to think about that, because if I didn't decide to change anything about myself, well, I would have been miserable still now. I would have sucked at trading, even worse, because I would have been in my head even more, talking negatively to myself, thinking I really can't do it anymore, and what I did was pure luck. Well, obviously I'm not going to go anywhere with trading. But I decided to stop all of that bullshit one day, and now here we are. I may not have the most subscribers, I may not be the richest dude, I may not be making 5 figures of payouts every single month yet, but I know I will. Because I know myself. Because I believe in myself. Because I told myself I would. And now whether or not people believe in me, I don't care. I don't care if people think I'm cringe. I don't care if people, find my videos and find them stupid. I don't care about that shit. Because at the end of the day, what I tell myself matters the most. You can't let somebody else, and you can't let yourself especially, shit talk you. You have to be your biggest supporter, man. That'll change your life. Okay, I feel like I'm yapping about this shit too much. But the last step is getting yourself together and being consistent about that. So getting yourself together could look like you're back in shape, you're hitting the gym, you're finding new hobbies, and the biggest thing is you're being consistent about it. It takes 21 days to build a habit. 21 days. You can build a habit very easily. I know everybody in this video watching right now, it may not be a lot of people, but everybody has the ability to be consistent. You see it every day. Some people are consistent gooners. Some people are consistent at doing hard drugs. Some people are consistent at blowing accounts because they're tilting. Some people are consistent at following the rules. You have to be consistent. Being consistent matters more than one big win or one big change in your life. The fact of the matter is to be able to unfuck yourself from years worth of damage, or maybe even months worth of damage, or whatever it may be, it has to be a consistent compound of things every single day. So now if you're actually trying to change your life, you have to understand this, is that progress, again, will never be linear. It's not a straight line going up. It's not. I wish it was, because then I'd be rich right now. I'd be happier. I'd be more leaner than I am. But that's not the case. Some days you're going to have bad days. Some days you're going to be human. I'm going to repeat that again. Some days you're going to be human. Some days you're going to make mistakes. Some days you're going to feel too lazy to be consistent, to backtest a journal, to go to the gym, to pray, to go to church, anything. Some days it's just like that because you're a human being. That's normal. But the one important thing is keeping consistency. So just because you miss one day doesn't mean it throws off weeks of progress. No, because you've already compounded days and weeks above each other. It doesn't matter if one day you stop. It matters is if the next day you can keep going. Same thing with trading. You can take a loss and either dwell on it and self-talk yourself negatively, or you can be consistent at being disciplined, having positive self-talk, identifying your issues with every point I've covered so far, identifying your issues in terms of the trade you took that day, how you were feeling, and identifying those and why those happened, and fixing that issue, and then moving on to the next day. That's progress. That is progress. It's not getting 10 payouts back to back to back. No. It's fixing all of the issues that you would have continuously suffered from just by making that small decision of continuously choosing to be consistent, choosing to be disciplined, choosing to give yourself that space. It's always a choice to unfuck yourself. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to break that cycle. Because it's hard. I get it. When you are so down and you're so negative and you can't seem to catch a break in life or whatever, it's hard to break that. But if you really, really, really want to change the trajectory of your life, instead of looking over here at the highway divider and smacking right into it, look ahead. Instead of looking at the rear view mirror where everything bad happened behind you, like this, or even like this, where you're not seeing the road, look ahead. Look ahead. You fuck up one day, fix it the next day. Stay consistent on that. You're mean to yourself one day. Fine, you're human. Everybody has crazy emotions every now and then. I do too. But what's important is to continuously show up every single day, and not just showing up for yourself every single day. That's what matters. That's consistency. Choosing to do the things you know you need to do time and time again is what matters the most. So talking to yourself positively, continuously identifying issues in your trading and in your life and fixing them, and actually creating solutions to your issues. That's what matters. And then, I don't know if that was the last step. Oops. Yeah, that was the last step. But those are the very, very, very simple steps of unfucking yourself. It's easier said than done. But the biggest and the most important word here is consistency. But without the fact of you telling yourself it's time for change, you can't be consistent at something. So I advise everybody watching this video, if you're struggling as a trader, if you're struggling as a person, and if you're a young man my age and you don't know what to do with your life, well, start from within. You can't make changes outside and expect the inside to catch up. There's two clocks. One clock is the clock that revolves around the world. That is your life. That is reality. And then the next clock is your internal clock. It's how you process things, how fast you process things, how fast you can actually digest information or emotions, right? There's always going to be two internal clocks that battle within each other. But it's a matter of whether or not you want to actually align those clocks. It's about whether or not you want to actually say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done hating my life. I'm done hating myself. I'm done blowing accounts. I'm done missing out on payouts. That's all it takes. So now to summarize the entire video, identify your issues, identify why you have those issues, talk to yourself positively, make a change in your environment, and stay consistent. And realize that when you do fuck up, you're only human. I'll repeat that again. You are only human. You can't be a trading god, dog. You can't win 100% of the setups you take every day. I mean, you can if you're probably cracked as fuck, like PB, but realistically speaking, long term, you have to be okay with losing sometimes. You have to be okay with people hating on you. You have to be okay with you hating on yourself. What matters the most is how you react to that. What habits will you continuously still do when you're put in a hard position of life? It's consistency that matters. And it's also okay to be a human being. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you guys learned something about it. I know it was a little bit of a different turn with what I normally make, which is just trade recaps or maybe the once in every couple months back testing session. But I hope that helped you. And for anybody watching, I hope you decide to unfuck yourself. And if not, I'm not going to hate. because there'll always come a day where someone will always decide enough is enough. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll probably try and get a video uploaded by Monday, since that's the new trading day, and I'll probably have a market recap in that day as well. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and see you later.